Hello, everybody. Grant Hunter here with another Product Growth Leaders topic of the week. Steve, we did this a year ago, and I've decided I want to make this our sort of annual end of year thing. I'm cursed. Maybe it's a curse, maybe it's a superpower. I can't walk through a store or into a business without seeing product management. Everywhere I go, I was walking the dogs and there was a stop sign, and I looked at the stop signs, and the bolts in the back had some special I'd never seen before thing, so people couldn't take the stop signs off. And in my head, I'm like, ooh, somebody wrote a requirement. It's a constraint, right? It can't be easily taken off.
Right.
Is it just me, or is it our industry? Is it our our profession that's cursed that way, that we can't stop thinking about that?
Well, maybe that's the difference between somebody who should be in product management and somebody who should not be in product management.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
I'm with you, though. I'm constantly looking at products going, oh, they started with a problem, as opposed to, I wish instead of me articulating solutions, I look for problems.
I remember being in Myrtle Beach right after I graduated. My parents brought me and my friends down, and we're at the bar. My friends are all drinking, and I'm talking to the owner of the bar, trying to understand his financial model, right? It's like business cases, everything. It's just, a curse or a superpower, I don't know. So we decided this week, the last week of the calendar year every year, we're going to talk about product management in the real world, because this is where it becomes tangible for a lot of people who don't understand what product management is or does, if we can start talking about that. So on Monday, we put into the community, what is your favorite example of seeing product management in the real world? And we got some great answers. Jason Weber was talking about DVRs. And if you think about a DVR, that's a great example of what's the problem you're solving, not what's the right solution for it. I want to be able to record things, right? And it was a VCR before that. The DVR was a great way to solve it, right? And now it's even considered a anti-function for any devices, the ability to do that type of stuff. May, you came in with a fairly new, or at least fairly new to me, the LinkedIn QR code. Talk to me about, your thoughts around why that was what you brought out.
It's actually been there for years. It's just like slowly people discover it. I think it was pre-pandemic actually when I first started using it. I remember searching. You go to an event, right? You're physically with people that you're probably going to add to LinkedIn, right? Especially if it's a professional event, and you go and search for their name, and you see, oh, there's like a little symbol there. What does it do? And it opens it up. So it's not intuitive to find, but once you find it, every single time I've used it, the words that come out of people's mouth is, oh my God, this is the best feature ever. And isn't this great? And I can't believe this is a thing. So it's that, like, and it's
and
every single time.
They also say, how long has that been there?
Right? Yeah. So again, like, it's hard to find, but once you know about it, it is the best thing ever. Because think about the context in which you would use it. It facilitates a physical space thing. It promotes engagement in the app. Post meetup, you will probably go and reach out to people. It's a very positive engagement. If you don't have the app, you get FOMO, fear of missing out, for those who aren't aware. And there's a lot of there's a lot built into it, and it's all thinking about the physical space that people get together in, and where you would pull out your LinkedIn app on your phone. So I thought that was brilliant.
Two things. I've actually had dinner with a guy who claims to have created the term FOMO, not relevant to this call whatsoever. Second thing, is this solving the same problem as business cards, or is this solving a different problem?
Business, I guess, like, I'm a little too young to understand the value of a business card. I remember getting handed a business card and I'm like, thank you. I'll add you on LinkedIn, and then I will throw out your business card. Like,
right.
Well, so somewhere in one of my file cabinets, and I got rid of a ton of them, I've got a box of business cards, right? It's almost the history of who I've met. And in olden times, long time ago when Steve and I were doing business stuff, you would go to a meeting and you would have your card. Now, Steve, do you remember the first time we could do it without the card? Did you have a Palm Pilot?
I did have a Palm Pilot.
Palm
I don't
Pilot had
remember doing the beaming thing with the Palm Pilot. I think I did the beaming thing with my iPhone though, being able to send a contact card.
Yeah, so you could do that with your iPhone now, but the Palm Pilot back in the late 90s had the ability. I remember the first time at an airport, I met somebody, we both had Palm Pilots, we beamed it to each other. So, you know, there's a couple things. One is I need to be able to share my information with somebody or get information with somebody else. The other is I want to get them into LinkedIn, and somebody who may not be as big on LinkedIn. There's two aspects. And this is me with my curse or superpower, digging more into the problem than I probably need to. But I do like it. And I've seen a new app. Somebody had a QR code on their card and I scanned it and it signed me up for some service that would keep it up to date. And there was some service like that 20 some years, Plaxo, which I loved, which I don't know why it went away. Because it was similar thing. So it's interesting.
Yeah, it was brilliant too, because what it did is it put, you know, May's contact information in my phone, but anytime she changed her information, it changed it in my phone.
Yeah.
So that was like super brilliant. And I think they got befuddled by, oh, we need to be doing something that is more social media. So I think they just lost their way. They
got bought by Comcast, which can help anything lose its way.
Good way of wrapping that up.
Yeah. Paul Hatala came in. He said he feels Amish. He's never owned a DVR, which is what Jason Weber talked about. And he's never scanned a LinkedIn QR code. And his answer was craft beer. His favorite example of product management in the real world is craft beer, right? An industry full of $10 billion Goliaths, craft breweries have chosen a flanking attack on underserved segments. You know, Steve, this was true to my heart because I'm all about the strategy aspect of it. And it really being able to find those niche segments is an amazing way to go about it. And so I wanted to bring that one out just because it's near and dear to my heart. Eva, you came next talking about UPS tracking.
Yeah, UPS is actually my favorite of all the tracking apps, just because one, it's simple, right? If someone is sending you a package, or if you're sending out a package, the app is smart enough to look up either your email address or your address, and it automatically adds that tracking app. When you're getting something shipped to you, you can follow your delivery, which I feel like UPS and Amazon are the only two that have that. FedEx is still very late to the party, but I mean, I like simplicity. Like my whole thing about downloading an app, if it's not intuitive and if it's not user-friendly, I'm going to curse it out and delete it off my phone in a matter of minutes, because that is the person that I am. So yeah. And to your point about business cards, I feel like the other positive of having business cards was when I had business cards, I would put them in restaurants to win a free lunch, but I never won the free lunch. So that was the only purpose I saw of them.
There's a use case right there. And I've got other use cases. They become, my old business cards become scribble pads, right? I can write something down on. But no, the UPS app is something I actually like, and I do like how it adds it. And sometimes, not all the time, they actually allow me to even track the truck. Have you seen them being able to track the truck where you can see where the people are? Which is especially
your
when
package is 3 stops away.
Yeah, when you're expecting something like expensive or something that's perishable, the ability to have that level, or when your office is in the basement and you can't hear the doorbell,
or when you have to sign for something. I mean, you don't have to sit at your house till 8 o'clock at night.
When you're waiting for the new iPhone and you have to sign for it. But they also have an ability for you to sign for it online.
That's true. Yeah.
Now, May, you said in the chat that they're not all this UPS love is not the same in Canada.
No. If you're ever sending anything to Canada, they make customs very difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe Canada makes customs very difficult.
No, we don't have issues with other vendors. Yeah, that's why like a lot of my friends buy things from Etsy. Etsy's an interesting one to talk about too. And every time it comes with UPS, you hear about it.
Interesting. And I'm thinking I ordered something from Canada that was shipped via UPS, and it did take longer than I expected. So maybe it's just that UPS has a bad customs program with that. Cory, you wanted to split the difference between seeing product management and the result of product management. And I know you're just cutting words. I think with the rest of your answer, you realized that I was more talking about the result of product management. Talk to me about both.
How do you know it was the result of product management and not UX developers, really good teams that you're working with? How do you know it was one individual that did that? I can't source that out. The only way I can source or see if a product manager had an impact is when they talk about it at conferences or talk about it when you're working with them or something else. The results of good product,
yeah,
you see all the time. And by the way, it is a curse, not a blessing. Because I do it too, but I can't separate. I can't say that this cool thing that was developed, this ability to track this thing, or this ability to, what I did today was I looked at Readwise because I saw a book quote that came up, and I'm like, God, I want to share that quote because it's so impactful. And I went to go share it, and Readwise already had a way to do that, and it had a better way of doing it than I was going to do it. And I'm like, that's brilliant. That's fantastic. I love that. But how do I know that was one person's job to come up with that versus a team of people who figured out the best way to do that over, trial and error multiple times? I don't. So I draw a distinction between having conversations like we're having now with product people, and we're talking about the things that we're doing, or seeing it at conferences or seeing something else, and then seeing it in the real world where I don't know. I'm sure there are some teams that don't have product managers that still do really good things. Even
so
though
therein goes, I was about to go there. Maybe we need to look at product management as the role, not the person or the.
It's the skills.
Well, Steve and I talk with a lot of companies who don't have anybody with the title product manager or a function called product management. They are all doing product management. Somebody, yes. a CEO founder is doing it. A design lead or tech, and let's be honest, likely to have a product manager before you're likely to have a design lead. A tech person is doing it. Other people are doing it. So I think what I want to look at is product management in general, not this person with a product manager title or a VP of product management title, but are we doing product management, whether we have that role or not? So that way it's not going to get to, oh, it was Eva. She is the product manager for this product. She's the one who did it. I can and have in the past made the argument that when product managers do a good job, it's empowering the whole team. So, God, am I going to call product management glue? No, I'm not going to call us glue. We're a lever. We help everybody get better, right? We help everybody lift a little more weight. And so,
that's a really big issue. To Cory's point, so often people say, can you give me an example of a company that does good product management? And actually, it's almost like you can't see it when it's good product management. It's when it's a good product team.
Yeah.
And the old quote is, I think, success has many parents. Failure is an orphan. Or if you prefer, it takes a village to raise a child. And I think that child metaphor is spot on. I mean, there are lots of people involved in creating a product. It's not just a product manager.
Yeah.
Currently, sorry.
No, you go, Eva.
I just want to say I'm currently reading The Design of Everyday Things, and that's pretty interesting just to see how badly things are designed. Like even a door, like a door that you would think you would push to open, but you have to pull it and vice versa. And they're not incorporating all these sensors and things that should be on design. And I feel like when there's a bad product, I feel like the first thing people tend to blame is the design, not the product. But then when there's a good product, then that's when they kind of celebrate the PM, just from people on the outside looking in.
So we're going to talk about good and bad product management when we get to our first question. So we'll dig into that, but that's a great example. Cory?
So just to piggyback on the notion that it's a curse in your stop sign example, Grant, Target has the best designed bathroom doors I've seen of a public place. You can open and shut the door without touching it with your hands, right? Because of the way they've designed the doors and the handles and the different things, you can get in and out of the bathroom without touching it with your hands, which is the number one reason that people get sick. It's because they contract something from a public place. And usually it's the places where you go where people don't wash their hands. So the ability to get in and out of a place to do that, the design, the thinking space around how are you getting in, how are you getting out, what's the best way to do that? And it pisses me off when I see it reversed, when you have to pull a handle to get out of the door. That no, don't do that.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no, I
weird tangent. I'm sorry.
no, but it takes me to I mean, on my phone, I take pictures of things I see that are like, I should write about that. One of them was, there was a truck, it was a pest control truck that is now doing lawn care. You know, they sprayed chemicals in your house to kill bugs. They sprayed chemicals on your lawn to kill weeds, whatever it may be. But it was like, somebody made this decision. Okay, we serve this group of customers in this way and solve this type of problem. What are adjacent problems we can solve? And Steve, I have to say my favorite one is still the pizza reference, right? By my old house, I can't say it's my, you know, a mile from here, but by my old house, 2 doors down from each other were Originals Pizza and Domino's Pizza for 15 years. How can a local independent pizza place survive when their pizzas are priced 2 times as much as 2 doors down at Domino? They solve different problems for different markets, right? And for me, so this goes to your, next time I go to Target, next time we all go to Target, you know what we're going to be doing? Looking at the bathroom doors and checking them out. But I think you and I, Cory, are probably cursed with the same, you know, issues when it comes to that. Joy, you've been awful quiet, taking all this in. I have to think you've got an amazing example for us now.
God, thanks for the pressure, Grant. I mean, maybe I should just pass. One thing that I've been excited about recently is, and I think it's been around for a while, but I just see it more and more, is when I need to start using a new app. And when I sign up, it says create an account or sign in with your Gmail account, sign in with Google. Yes, please. I do not want to have to enter my email, my first name, my last name. I don't want to enter a password and then confirm the password and go through a CAPTCHA. I'm just done with all that. There are so many accounts and apps that I'm using. I just can't stand it. And my business email is a Gmail account as well. So for personal and business, I can just choose my business Gmail or my personal. I mean, I love it. They also give the option of like signing in with Apple, the signing in with Facebook. I definitely don't want to use that. But I mean, I just love that capability that they've made it so easy and removed that obstacle.
You know, I get that. And we you know, a lot of SaaS, that's a lot of stuff that we use at Product Growth Leaders give us that ability. And that was a hard part when we switched from Gmail as our email host to Microsoft. And I like that. I actually still do it separately because I'm just afraid. I'm trying to not have people track me. But the analog of that, which I love, is I used to buy everything on Apple Pay. I love Apple Pay. It's so intelligent. And I will say, using my watch, my Apple Watch to pay, still to this day, people are like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
But what has really gotten me, has anybody used shop.app? Right. A lot of the websites are using it. It's sort of like UPS app and Apple Pay combined into one. So once you are in it, if they use it, it's easy enough to pay like Apple Pay when you're buying something online. Buying at point of present, the Apple Watch in Apple Pay is amazing. But if you're buying something online, it seems like everything I'm buying now has it. And it combines both the payment and the tracking of the shipment for you.
Oh, that's the Shopify. So it's all the stores using Shopify.
Okay, is that what it is?
Yeah, that's Shopify. Yep.
I mean,
Shopify
amazing.
being a Canadian company, right, May?
So it's amazing. I think there are so many things in the web that give you that ability to have that type of intuitive nature to do that type of stuff. Steve, I haven't even asked you what would be your example.
Well, I think this conversation has shifted a little bit to, true problem solving features and products, right? I mean, we're all about problem-led decision making. One of my favorites, of course, is the illuminated mute button for all those times when people are talking on mutes. I also, going on the app thing, I recently stopped at Sheets. I almost always shop at Sheets on the way back from my mom's house to my house. And I thought, well, I might as well get the app. What a piece of shit. It was terrible. And it was all the things.
Wait, Eva, can we say that word on this call?
Yeah, I think we may have to edit that out
Steve
later.
can.
But it was like all the things you just said, what's your name, what's your address, what's your age, what's all this stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm using this on an iPhone. I want to use my Apple Pay. I want you to get my credentials from whatever. And that reminded me as well of my other problem solving feature, which is Apple now has a way to kind of instantaneously create an alias for your email. So I can get some name like Book 143 Ninja as a temporary email address that I could use with something like one of these terrible apps. And then if I decide I don't like the app, I can just delete the alias and it starts bouncing all their emails. But all of those are coming from a standpoint of, what problem you're trying to solve and how do you reduce the friction from the experience. And one more, here's what everybody's getting in their stocking this year. This is a cable that connects anything to anything. It's USB-A, USB-C, Lightning, and something else.
Wow.
Very clear, a problem-solving product.
But it is a problem that's like, that shouldn't exist.
Oh, that's true too. That's true too. But every time anybody tries to standardize, they either do it badly, like USB-A, where you have to plug in everything 3 times until you can finally get it to line up correctly. And then, Europe has said they want to standardize everything on one connector. But if you have a consortium coming together, they're going to come up with something terrible like USB-A. And Apple's like, hey, we're out. We're going to do things that people like.
So first thing, that cable makes me think of an Uber or a Lyft, because you see the people there, they have to have power cords for all the different phones.
Yeah.
But I need to go back to Sheets, and maybe it's a separate episode that Eva and I just do. It's Wawa versus Sheets. And for some reason, Pennsylvania is like the capital of
Sheets.
No, Sheets is headquartered in Western Pennsylvania. Wawa is headquartered in southeastern Pennsylvania, south of Philadelphia. And they're like the 2 top growing convenience store gas stations. Like Sheets was when I went to college, but I'm a Wawa person. I worked at Wawa. It's a big, it's like Wawa's coming to Penn State now, and it's going to be a big turf war, Sheets versus Wawa. So I think it's
Cherry Hill West versus Cherry Hill East.
I'm East, she's West.
Okay. Well, somebody needs to call Sheets and tell them to hire qualified people to build their app.
I actually have access through my network to the Sheets guy. Like his name is Sheets. Because he's a Penn Stater. I'll do that, Steve. Okay.
All right.
Can I volunteer your services as an advisor?
Sure.
All right. We will do that. Any last thoughts on product management in the real world? When you see it, where you've seen it? All right. Well, let's go.
One thing I posted in the chat is most apps are used only one time. You download it, you go to log in, you say, and you delete it. Either the login is bad. In one case, I had one, there was like it was clearly written by a Chinese company. And the first thing they wanted was my Wi-Fi password. I'm out.
Yeah. No
I'll
doubt.
give you one example that really changed how I was approaching something, which is I was trying to decide between Costco, Sam's Club, or BJ's for one of these warehouse club memberships.
Yep.
I went and tried them out, looked at all of them. The deciding factor for me, and I didn't see this until somebody else told me, was Sam's Club has an app for your phone where you can scan everything in your cart, pay for it in your cart, and not have to stand in any lines.
Wow.
And to me,
Wow.
that was the selling point above all selling points. Was I don't have to, I have to wait in one line, and that's to get out the door. That's the only, I can scan all my stuff in the back of the store after I'm done shopping. And I absolutely love that because I don't have to wait. And it's so quick. They have a continuous scanning mode. So I make sure, this is my stupid brain, I make sure that when I'm shopping, I put everything in the cart with the barcode up. So that when I'm done, I can just run it over the cart, run it back over the cart, pay for it, walk to the door. There's 40 people in the lines arguing with the cashier about, is this on sale? Or their kids with getting candy, or just waiting 20 minutes in a line. And I don't have to do any of that. And that makes me so happy.
And there's still going to be somebody checking the number of products you have in your receipt anyway. So
anyway,
you're talking about like physical commerce checkout, which I spent some time doing, and it's like one of my absolute favorite checkout experiences has been at Uniqlo, which is a Japanese clothing chain.
Yep.
And the way they have their checkouts work now is when you go shopping, you have a basket with you. You drop your basket with the clothes in the checkout machine, and then they tell you what you have in your basket and give you your total, and you pay for it and you go. There's no one checking your basket afterwards. It's just, that's all it is.
It's amazing what you can do with EPC Global Gen 2.
Right,
RFID.
but it is so smooth and it's so satisfying. It is, because most people are here, it's like tap to pay, right? So it's not like chip and pin or anything. You literally put the basket in, tap, pay, take your stuff, go.
So I actually helped. I was the executive at GS1 US when we rolled out item level RFID with Walmart and with Macy's, and maybe that's a whole nother product management story I should tell, but the way they were able to use it just for back office to fix efficiencies and inefficiencies, to create efficiencies in the way they did that. And nobody at that point was using it for point of sale, which was a logical. I was about to go there with Cory saying, better yet, if you use RFID on everything, you walk through a tunnel and it does it, you don't do anything. Right? It makes it that much easier. So, but I don't want to get too far off topic when we get to that. We did have a poll. What causes you to think most about product management with products in the real world? The options were intuitive UX, problem you hadn't thought of, strategy aspects, and other it depends. And I came out, Paul and I think Paul, I figured from the first one was going to vote this way he did. The strategy aspects. I was at the grocery store, and the cheese section at Kroger's and King Soopers here is now Murray's Cheese. And I'm like, wow, what a great product management extension for Murray's Cheese in New York, just to partner with somebody to curate the cheese sections where they're going. Strategy aspects were there. But Jason Weber came in, and I think it goes to the conversation we've been having all day. And maybe if I should have put that as, he voted other, it depends. He said, it's in my DNA. I cannot think about the product management aspects when I see products or solutions. He can't not think about it, right? It just, it's something we do. It's something we think about. Place I might have thought about it. May, you went with intuitive UX. Talk to me about.
Look, I'm a nerd, but like, I'm not that much of a nerd. I can't look at every single item because like there's so much, right? Like you don't think about the display lighting behind the shelves of everything that you buy or everything that you see at a physical store. You don't think about like who makes the carts that you push around, or all of the things that consumers don't see. And even as a consumer, you generally don't think about 90% of the things you touch, right? When you do think about it, it is, holy cow, this was smooth. Holy cow, I didn't know I needed this thing because it is so deeply satisfying. Like for me, when I bought my Fitbit, I used it as like a heart rate monitor because I didn't need a really good one. I just wanted to see what I was doing. And then you find like the sleep monitoring thing, and it's like, okay, yeah, I slept for 7 hours, but I was only asleep for 5. Okay, so maybe I need to sleep more. Maybe I need to go to bed earlier. Maybe I need better sleep hygiene, right? So it's the things that you never think about, but like the extension of it really helps. And I think like going back to Cory's point, like the act of product management, like sometimes you launch a really good product, but in order to grow that product, in order to like make sure that product continues to be successful, that's where product management comes in. And it could be ideas from all of the teams, but it's doing the right thing on top of that, right? So where I think it might be interesting to look at in this conversation is, how do products grow after the initial launch, because that's really what we're talking about.
Actually, that sounds like a great topic for us to bring up in the new year.
Yeah.
So you said something in your answer though that took me to the problems you hadn't thought of. You bought the Fitbit, and a problem you hadn't thought about was your sleep hygiene, and it helped you with that. It solved it for you.
I was kind of debating between the two, but really it's like UX is what makes me notice it.
Okay.
And then it leads me to think about the problems I haven't thought of.
Joy, I believe you voted for the problems you hadn't thought of. I'm going to give you a chance to defend that before I get back to the design. In intuitive UX, won 40% of the vote. Problems you haven't thought of, 20. Strategy aspects, 20. Other, it depends, 20. So I'll get back to Cory and Eva to talk about their votes for intuitive UX or what to add there. But I want to give you a chance to talk about why you chose problems you hadn't thought of.
Well, intuitive UX, when I see that, I have to credit the UX team. I mean, that is a very specific skill, user experience. That's a very specific role and background and experience. So UX, user experience, I just think is completely different.
So this is very splitting the hairs of product management versus product design.
Yes.
Completely and totally get that and understand that.
Yes. I said a problem that I wasn't aware of because, again, thinking of what I spoke about earlier, when I first saw the option to be able to log in with my Google account, I hadn't even, I mean, it was an issue for me, but I didn't realize that that could ever be an option to be able to use my Google account. And I love it. So whoever first came up with that, kudos to them.
Awesome. I love that. Eva, talk to me about why you chose intuitive UX.
Well, I think that I am a very judgy person about UXs, and if it's ugly, I'm not going to use it. So a couple of years ago, I was looking for a new online bank, and I was looking at NerdWallet and all these different banking reviews, and there was a bank in Boston. Anyway, an online bank in Boston that got great reviews. So I'm like, all right, well, let's see. And I signed up, and I didn't leave them because of their customer service. I didn't leave them because of my APR. I left them because of their tech. Their tech sucked. And I am so thankful now to have an online bank that I love. And when I look at the app, I get giddy because it's a work of art. So if any of you ever, I mean, this isn't me working for this company, but like I have banking accounts with Discover, and their app is like a work of beauty. And they also have a feature on there where they can eliminate your personal information from searches. So if you know, if someone types your name on Google and it comes up with like your name, address, phone number, email address, sometimes Discover will go and search those sites and remove and redact that information for you, which is just one of many things that they do for free. So that's all.
That's great. And we're going to talk about sort of something like that in a little bit. Cory, you also said intuitive UX.
Yeah, one of the things that I try to
besides target bathroom doors.
Yeah, exactly. Is what's the experience somebody's going to have, and how much do I know about that experience? If somebody's trying to go to the bathroom at Target, what does that look like? If somebody's trying to get out of a checkout line, what does that look like? If somebody's trying to book a flight or do some banking at home on an app, what does that look like? there's so many times where people just say, oh, they'll figure it out. No, you have to be in their head and figuring it out with them so that you can know 2 or 3 steps ahead what they're going to want to do. So that when you, just like the Readwise example I gave, and the one that somebody said it with the Garmin, where you could see the things that you didn't want to see, they're already thinking about those things before you even get there, which means they've anticipated your needs, and that is really good. Intuitive experience. Now, Joey said user experience as a role. I'm talking about a customer experience, the experience the customer has using your product. That's the one that I care more about than the design of it. Is how do you feel about using that product? How do you feel when you're done using that product?
And I almost put CX instead of UX, and maybe that would have been more holistically a non-design thing, a product management thing. And I do believe product management needs to be thinking about that whole product and the whole experience they have from marketing all the way through, because it impacts what's going on.
But I tell you, the things that I meant to say and I didn't in the earlier session was the earlier.
Wait, we get extra time to go back to our first answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Is when I cannot stop watching these videos of the kids with the cochlear ear implants for the first time and hearing for the first time, the people seeing color for the first time, the people walking with prosthetic legs for the first time, just the experience that they're having when they've not heard anything for a long time, perhaps ever, or they've never seen anything, or they never walked or done something like that. And to see them turn that thing on, and just the emotions that they have when they're able to and their family members are able to, I can't stop watching those, because that is an experience. That is something nobody will ever be able to take away from them.
Get some tissues, right? I mean, when the little kid hears his mom for the first time, I know I cried. To your intuitive, right, solving things, it's almost a combination of the CX and the solving problems people didn't think they had. Somebody had posted on one of the social media platforms this week, an example that I'd seen and I thought was brilliant. United, on their seat back entertainment, actually has a movie. Your flight time is 1:48. Would you like to look at movies and shows that are less than 1 hour and 30 minutes? And it's like, wow, right? Or you have this much time left in your flight, here are things that you can watch in that time. And that was a total intuitive problem I didn't think I had, right? I don't know. Steve, you did not vote, I don't think, did you? And what would you vote for?
I'm going to go with problems, which was nobody voted for, or is that the third one? I can't see.
Problems is second. The business model aspects is the third one. That was me talking with the owner of the bar in Myrtle Beach. That was sort of my head about figuring that out.
Yeah, I think problems would always is where I go. And, you know, the point that many of us have made, I think a lot of innovation comes from standing next to somebody in a line at Costco and saying, why the hell do I have to be in this line? I've got a smartphone, you know, and somebody goes, but when so many product managers have zero customer experience, they never get to hear this. I mean, but how many things have been invented because my spouse complained about something and somebody went, I think that's, I mean, you know, like my cable that I was just talking about. You know, I was visiting my brother a week ago. I couldn't find an appropriate cable. And I'm like, how can I not why do I have to travel with 3 or 4 or 6 different cables depending on what device I'm using? And somebody had their spouse say that and they went, And the more we in product management can engage with problems and friction, the better our products will be.
I completely understand. I like that. I think that's a good way to look at it.
One more little rantette about somebody brought up United. Traveling is horrible, right? One thing United, and I think some other airlines as well, have learned is we don't really care what the answer is. We just want an answer. And now the displays, instead of advertising products, although maybe they still do that, they're saying flights on time. They're saying, here's what the weather's going to be like on the other side. Here's our standby list. Here's our upgrade list. They're very communicative, and that solves a real problem because the stress of travel comes from the uncertainty. And even if you don't like the answer, at least you know the answer. And years ago, I went up to a gate agent and I said, "Are you going to cancel this flight?" And she said, "Probably, but don't tell anybody." So I hopped in my car to drive to Boston, and 4 hours into the drive, I got an alert from United saying they had canceled the flight. And by then I was halfway to Boston.
Yeah.
All I need to know, all I want is an answer. It doesn't have to be the answer I want, but I want an answer.
I love that. I see that as a great example. So I'd already pulled this up while Steve started that rant. Where is good or bad product management most obvious in a product? And I think we can say design is one, let's this customer experience obviously is something we've been talking a lot about through this. So obviously that's a place where it can see. Cory.
So I've just had this experience because I've looked at about 15 different product tools to try to figure out which one I want to use. But the things that have made me sign up, look at it for 5 minutes, and then sign back out and never want to use it again, or if it forces me into using their system their way instead of adapting to what I'm trying to do with it. I've deleted so many products so quick because it said, "Here's your onboarding step to set up your first board." No, no, no. Let me do it. I don't do it for me. Don't try to handhold me, and don't force me into your rule set. That's where I'm just like, nobody thought about this. They want me to play in their sandbox instead of their way, right? Here's how we're going to play together, kids. No, it's my sandbox. It's my car. I'll take my ball and go home. Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely can understand that. That's part of the CX that's going on there. For me, I think it comes from the strategic aspects of it, right? The bad product management is when you see a product trying to be all things to all people, right? And they even say that, one tool for everybody's needs, right? You see this a lot in the online sharper image type stuff. Steve, the Swiss Army knife with every blade to it. But also you see it with good product management where people really hone in on that exact specific persona and problem and value prop, and they're able to communicate so intuitively that you pick it up, right? You give it a try because of that. Other thoughts? Silence.
I think when a product asks you for feedback all the time, I don't know if either anyone has experienced it, but lately, since he who shall not be named has taken over Twitter, I feel like I'm getting asked to provide feedback almost every day. Like almost whenever I launch the app now, it says, "Do you like Twitter?" And I want to be like,
I did.
Really want me to answer this question? But no, I feel like when they require so much feedback or when they send you a lot of marketing emails, like that turns me off about the product. And then when you sign up on your business email, first they're contacting you to your business email, and then they're finding you on LinkedIn and sending you emails. And it's almost like these sales and marketers are stalking you to pay for the product and get off the free product. It's like, leave me alone. If I want to buy it, I'm going to buy it. Stop hounding me.
This goes to the whole CX, and Cory talked about it with the apps trying to make them do your way. To me, to your point, it's these LinkedIn messages and emails. Hey, I sent you a message on LinkedIn, but I'd like to talk to you here. That's the quickest way for me to never even look at your product, right? And so some of these product management, good or bad product management, is really about understanding that whole customer journey in the touch points we have, and realize that each of those touch points is really part of the product, or at least the perceptions of the product.
And my version of that is I've come to believe that most product managers and marketing people don't actually like to talk to actual people. They want it through automation. Let me set up a mail merge. Let me set up a bot. Let me set up some automated way to engage with you. And when they do, they say, well, Eva, I think I'm just going to send you an email every 3 days or every 3 hours because it costs me nothing. One of the things I wish I could do if I were king would be to charge 1/100th of a penny for every email you send.
Yeah.
And that would not affect us at all, right? I mean, at the end of a month, it would be, oh, shoot, I've got a 5.7-cent bill for all the emails I sent. But for these people who are spamming the hell out of me, they're suddenly getting hit with hundreds of thousands of dollars in mailing, and that would solve a lot of problems. But that's a rant. Let me go back to my original rant. Hang on, here's the button. I think product managers and marketing people need to have analog time and not just automate their way. I mean, I so many times talk to product managers who say, hey, can you help me do a survey? And I'm like, well, the problem with surveys is you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. And you need to have that time talking to people, right? It goes back to one of those things we always talk about, the insight. May, you have a comment?
I have a really good story. So I was at a conference for this one product that a lot of product managers use. And they were talking about all of the new features that they just launched and they're about to launch. And one that they specifically talked about has been a giant pain for everyone. And it was how you sort this collection of features that people might use quite often. And that, like, you might end up having like 50 things in an unsorted list. You can't find anything. It's a pain. So they introduced categories, and they said when they sent out the email announcing the launch, they had something like a 60% adoption rate of people who clicked through and checked out this feature. And that's what they announced at that conference. And then all of a sudden you hear murmurs all throughout this auditorium, and every single person around me was like, yeah, it sucked. And I felt the same way. And I'm like, I remember pulling it up and I said, this is the worst user experience choice possible. And I understand you're going to build on it, but like, even as like the baseline choice, it is not it's not great UX at all by any stretch of the imagination. So
but happily it automates the interaction without you having to actually talk to anybody.
I don't know, but it was bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And now I'm putting my product management hat on again. Well, if you automate something, once you've done enough discovery and understanding and design, it maybe could be there, but you still have to have, ways to opt out and figure things out. I don't know. What I'd like to do, we're getting close. I want to get this question in. If you could take over product management for a product you use, what would the product be and what would you do? Joy.
Interesting you should ask this, because I am signed up on userinterviews.com. I use it so that I can do interviews for my product, but I'm also signed up so that I can get $100 or whatever. And so I just did one this week for Atlassian.
That's right.
Because I know Steve loves, Jira tickets and Confluence. So they said it was like $125, and they want feedback on this new feature that they're rolling out. So we start the call and I said, before you show me that, you're a product manager, I'm a product manager. For the love of God, why do I have to click on this pencil icon whenever I have to make a change? Why can't I just double click? For the love of God, why do I have to click publish, not even save? Every time I make changes and I forget, and then the next time I log in, I don't see my changes. And I think, did I dream that? Did I not? So I had to go on this rant before they even shared. So then he said, thanks for your feedback. So then we get to this new feature, and I'm probably not supposed to talk about it, but he shared it. And I said, well, I'm not going to use that. But here's how I would use it. So I would take over Confluence, and I would make the changes that I just talked about.
All right. So Joy's going to take over Confluence and make changes to make the product better for how do you edit and change stuff. Eva.
So I think for once, if I could be the product manager over anything, I would actually pick a non-tech product and do Quartet, who make dry erase boards, because I am left-handed, AKA Southpaw, and I have issues with dry erase boards because everything I write disappears magically. So I don't know how I would solve this problem, but yeah.
And you end up with an arm full, sorry,
Yes.
a left arm full of.
Yes. And it's very interesting. I would really like to solve this for fellow lefties because there's so many things, like I failed scissors in kindergarten because they didn't have left-handed scissors back in the day. But yeah, I really want to be, you know me, I'm very into inclusiveness. I want to make the market more inclusive to fellow left-handed people. Even notebooks, it hurts to write notebooks.
Yeah, for my left-handed daughter, I hear you and feel you, and I love that. Cory.
I don't think there's a product I don't do this for.
I think back
every day,
back to our
multiple
curse.
times. So I think the general answer is all of them. The first step is remove half of the capabilities and functionalities because they're crap anyway. And then the third category is make it simpler to purchase or buy it and stop spamming me with nickel and dimes, either in games or in apps or whatever else. I don't need a subscription to Adobe. I just want to pay for the product. If I want improvements, I'll buy it again. But I don't need to spend 3 times as much money per year to get the same product I got 5 years ago just because you're in the cloud. I don't need it. I do it for other apps. Yeah, it makes sense to do it for Netflix, so I can spend $10 this month and not spend it next month. But the complicated ways that these companies try to extract us from our money is BS, and I hate all of them.
I get that. I appreciate it. May, any thoughts?
I don't really have a specific product in mind, actually, because most things that we interact with as a consumer is just a consortium of third-party vendor add-ons. So like you never know like what aspect of the thing you're frustrated with is actually the thing that company builds, right? So for me, I think that a lot of the things that we get frustrated with in our interactions, especially with like the tools from a larger organization, is that they can't change. Because they can't change the back end. For example, LinkedIn can't allow you to embed URLs in comments because like their backend won't allow for it or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, why is this a thing? It's 2022, almost 2023. So it's like thinking about all of those things, but like, why doesn't this happen? It's probably because there's 20 different teams working on it. Like, how do you facilitate that secondary layer? And that's what I think more about.
You are cursed like Cory now. That's good to hear. Steve, before we get to the lightning round, any thoughts, or is Zoom in their inability to show you're on mute still the one?
Well, that's a big one. And you know, as I was thinking about that particular one, a very obvious you're on mute, and for that matter, a fairly obvious you're being recorded, or you're pausing your recording so that you don't forget to resume the recording. Either of those would be good UI things. But I read an article a while back about a developer who joined a company, fixed a bug that has been driving him crazy for 3 years, and quit.
That's amazing.
That's brilliant.
And I think with Cory, you know, I can think of so many cases where I just express frustration, and I'm like, I wish I could go be the product manager for, you know, to get this thing fixed. And so one other little rantette, my mom has difficulty reading now and seeing, and I'm starting to see everything through that lens. Like, I want to give her a Kindle so that she can have large print books straight away. But the Kindle UI has so many options in it that she can't possibly use it. So There was a case years ago with my dad. He went over to, he was at the Y, and he went over to a lady and said, "Can I talk to your son, please?" And he had, it was like a 14-year-old. And he's like, "I don't know what's happened on my iPhone. Can you fix it?" He just needed somebody young enough to do it. But anyway, I think it's almost like I'd like to be a product manager for all products that are used by people with diminishing sight.
I love that.
Because black letters on black buttons on a black remote control. What were you thinking?
Yeah. Every time I go to, now that I'm over 50, every time I go to the restaurant, I hope they've got that QR code so I can pull the menu up on my phone instead of trying to read that size 8 font gray on the menu.
With no light.
Yeah, exactly.
Limited light, yeah.
All right, we're going to do lightning round lightning. How can we use examples of product management in the real world to help people understand the value of product management? Joy.
Next.
Wow.
May.
There's a part of me that feels like it's kind of futile because
maybe this should not have been a lightning round question.
No, that is not a lightning round question.
See, but my first thought is it's a way for us to point it out. Just use it as, just bring it. I do with Michelle at the store. Hey, check that out. Murray's is now doing the cheese for King Super. Somebody at Murray's said, hey, let's start diversifying our distribution channels through this partnership.
That would be your partners, though. That's your channels. That's strategy.
But it's product strategy. You should be thinking about the channels you go to, right? When we teach that, we talk about adjacent markets and product strategy, right? How do you find adjacent markets and find the right place to get to it? The core product they sell is cheese. They're just finding a new way to get to it. Cory.
So this is not a lightning answer. This is not a lightning question. So I don't feel like I can give a lightning answer to a non-lightning question. There's two aspects of this. One, ask them what products they hate using that they have to use, and ask them why they hate it. Is it the experience? Is it whatever? They've got something that they cannot wait to tell you how bad it sucks. And they want to tell you how bad it sucks. And then that's something you can figure out. And then ask them, when you're looking at a new product, what makes you immediately not want to use it? Same logic, right? What's the friction points? What's the pain points? What's the things that you don't like that's happening in that? And talk about those, and then steer that into why what we're doing is causing that for somebody else, to help them see that, build that empathy.
No, I love that idea. Eva, anything?
I mean, when I first saw this, the one word I thought of was empathy, but other than that, I got nothing.
Empathy is a great lightning round answer.
Mm-hmm.
Joy, anything left? No. Steve?
I'm going to go with friction free.
Oh, help them.
Think of a product that you have used that was free of friction, and that was a
good product.
That was a good product management experience.
I'll tell you one more thing, and a lot of
Cory's answering for everybody.
Yeah, I'm answering for Joy here. So since Joy didn't answer. So the other thing you can do is take somebody who's very powerful in your company who can help make changes, and have them watch a user use your product, and watch how frustrated they are, and listen to what they say. There are some people that still go, well, I don't care. And that's fine. Their business isn't going to last long anyway. But the people who do care, when they see that, when they see how long it takes somebody, or the pain that it caused them, or the tears that it caused them, or, whatever it is, sometimes people go, well, that can't be good for us. And it's not, but it's actually seeing them struggle and go through that pain that makes somebody go, oh, I get it now.
Well, let me take your first answer, Eva's answer, Steve's answer, and the last answer, and say, boy, let's do that with our senior leadership. Ask them, what's a product that you have that you hate and why, right? Or what's a product where you have friction when you're buying it? Get them through that. That gets them to have empathy, Eva's answer. And then they can come back and then say, well, let's show you how it is with our customers. Joy, that was a great answer Cory did for you. May?
What problems does this product solve?
Yeah, helping people understand the problems it solves. I think that's great. now I look at this and it was an aspirational question that we could come up with a small answer for it, but it's really to me, in my head, I feel like the better job we can help our leadership and people understand everyday product management where they see it around themselves, the better chance they can understand the value of what we do. So whether it's the friction, whether it's the value, whether it's the entering new markets or new products, right? I keep looking for ways that we can get people to get it, right? To understand it and to see what is good and bad in it. And that was a thunder answer as well. So I've got this idea that if we can start helping people see product management in the world around us, that they will open their eyes to what is product management and what is good or bad product management. And we can go that way. What a great way to end our calendar year. May, Joy, Eva, Cory, Steve, the conversations we've had over this year and multiple years for some of us has been amazing. Those new people who have joined us this year in conversations. Cory, you made it the whole year and you're still here. Eva, you found us later in the year, but you've become an amazing voice in addition to the community, but also these calls. Joy, outside of Steve, I think you've been doing these the longest on this call today. And May, every time we talk, you challenge me in a good way, not like you're challenging me saying you're stupid. No, you challenge me in a way to make me think about things in ways I haven't thought about. And that's what these calls are for. This is what Topic of the Week is about. It's a chance for us to really talk with our peers, learn from our peers, explore, grow, and have a good time while we do it. So from Steve, Product Growth Leaders, and myself, happy holidays, happy New Year, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, whatever you're whatever you're celebrating. And we'll see you guys in the new year in the community. On Monday, question goes in. On Wednesday, the poll goes up. And on Fridays, we have these wonderful conversations, sometimes with lightning round questions that are truly lightning round. We'll see you guys, everybody. Take care.